Welcome back on the mat. Let's start. Nice upright seated position, shoulders relaxed, no tension in the upper body. Just feel the sit bones making contact with the floor. And then get a comfortable position with the hands on the knees or in your lap and close your eyes. Maybe for the first time today you are actually taking a moment to check in with your breathing pattern. If that's the case, then know that you can make a conscious effort to be more aware of your breathing pattern throughout the day. Just noticing the rhythm, the pace of your breath. And then to turn this into a yoga practice, take control of the breathing. So, deepen the inhales and the exhales. There's no need to force the breath. You're just simply allowing yourself to get into a calmer state by slowing down the breathing, in turn slowing down your heart rate. Maintain this breathing practice as we move on the mat, so you can slowly open your eyes. We're going to be spending the first stretch on a bit of core work. So positioning yourself so that you can lean back slightly with the chest, gripping hold onto the backs of the knees. Just feel that the sternum is lifting. If you lean back, it's going to feel like the feet become lighter on the mat. Get the feet to just not touch the floor. Once you get the feet off the mat, squeeze your knees together. Bring your arms out in front. So you want to keep sternum up. Engagement in the core. You don't want to arch in the back. You just want to not round in the spine quite yet. Now, keeping feet close to the floor, start to pull your feet towards the buttocks as we pull the knees closer to chest. Still keeping chest up, pushing the feet a bit further away. It should feel a bit easier. Then pull feet in towards the body, knees closer to the chest. And further away. And one more. Pull towards the chest. Hold. Keep the breath deep. And now very slowly placing feet back onto the mat. We're going to start to round in the spine. So as you curl down, tuck your chin slightly, round in the back, and slowly make your way down onto the floor. As you get the spine onto the mat, once again floating feet off the floor, pulling your heels close to your glutes. Crunch up, working your head closer to your legs. Now interlace fingers behind your head. Keep crunching up. Straighten the right leg out in front. Twist with the right elbow to left knee. Bring the right knee back and cross over. Just start to move, but link breath and movement. So it's slow movements. It's controlled. There's no need to rush with the repetitions when we do core. The more control we have over the movement, the better. Not just for conditioning purposes, but also for muscle memory. So you're constantly moving. Twisting to one more side, and then as you come back to center, bring the back of the head down. You can keep the fingers interlaced, feet off the floor. Straighten your legs up to ceiling. Now, if you don't have the hamstring flexibility to get to 90, that's not a problem, and the legs will be a little bit lower. But in this position, with the legs being up, you'll feel the lower back pushing down into the floor. Maintain that position with the lower back as we lower the legs a little bit. So we just take the legs forwards a bit more. Take the legs a little bit lower. Check in with the back. Can you keep it that way? Can you keep pushing lower back into the floor? And then bring the legs a little bit lower. Still keeping the breath nice and deep. It's important to breathe well when we do core. We're using the diaphragm to breathe. And when we breathe, we want all the core muscles to form part of this exercise. Lower the legs a bit more. Can you still feel lower back on the mat? Lower a little bit more. If you start to feel the back lifting, then rather pull knees in and crunch up. That would be a safer approach. But with the legs being slightly more out in front, lower a bit more. Check in with the back. Keep pushing lower back down. Lower more. Now get the heels quite close to the floor, not to touch. Breathe. And then heels down. Step feet onto mat. Grab hold behind the backs of the knees. And rock up into seated. Crossing legs, hands onto mat. Now in an all fours position, we'll be working into the core. Before we do a core strengthening exercise, arch in the back, look up, stretching the core. Exhale, tucking the chin around the spine. Inhale, arching, looking up. Exhale, back into cat. Inhale, into a neutral position. Now, instead of simply thinking or feeling into the core, start to pay attention to what happens in the lower back. Raise your left leg, extend the leg to the back of the mat. And as you flex your foot, I just want the toes to point down to the floor. Push away from the mat, keep your arms straight, feeling the chest moving away from the floor. Now tilt in the pelvis so that you feel core engagement and you want to feel length through your lower back. Reach with the right hand out in front. So you're reaching and lengthening in the spine and using an exhale, almost like a cat stretch. Pull knee and elbow together as you round in the spine. Inhale, straighten, reaching, and just keep breathing. And on your own exhalation, once again, elbow and knee to meet. And straighten. And pulling elbow and knee together. Inhale, straighten. And this time round, bring your hand down. Before we bring the leg down, flex your foot. Let's push the top of the right foot into the floor, getting the right knee to not make contact with the mat. Tilt in the pelvis. Now bring the right knee down. Bring your left knee down onto the mat. Box pose, all fours. Straighten your right leg. Flex your foot. You're reaching to the back of the mat. Arms straight, chest away from the floor, and then finally tilting in the pelvis to feel core engagement. Reach with the left arm out in front. And exhale to do that cat-like stretch, elbow and knee to meet. Inhale to extend. Keep breathing. We're not Using one inhale and one exhale to move. We hold it a bit longer. Now on an exhale, tuck, squeeze. Straighten, lengthen. Be patient on the mat. Feel what's happening in the body. Exhale, tuck, round in the back. Push away from the floor. And inhale, lengthen. You'll bring the left hand down, pushing the top of the left foot into the floor, lifting left knee off the mat. Exhale, knee down, right knee down, box pose. In our all fours, shift a bit of weight forwards. Just feel into the forearms as you get your shoulders potentially past the fingertips. Then shift your weight back into a neutral position. Think about doing an arm balance where we've got to shift more weight forwards to lift and revisit that posture. So shift weight forwards. Notice what happens with the fingers as you shift weight forwards. Do you grip the mat more? Can you keep the palms firmly on the floor? Bring it back to center. Now tuck your toes and make your way into a down dog. Bend into knees, look up. In breath, feet between hands, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms go up. Exhale, mountain pose. Just one more time. Hand onto abdomen, left hand onto the back. Tilt the pelvis manually. Feel that there is sufficient core activation. Arms alongside the body, mountain pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive, head to shins. Inhale, halfway lift. Planting hands, exhale, take it back and lower down. In breath, upward facing dog. And exhale into down dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, stepping right foot in between hands. Pivot your back foot, come up into a warrior two. Look down the back arm, down the front arm. Get a straight line from the left hand to the right. Shoulders are relaxed down. You're sinking low into the front knee. Flip the front hand, palm to face up. Shift weight onto the front foot, lifting up, reaching as we float the back leg higher. You're going to slowly bring the right hand down. See if you can get the fingers to make contact with the floor, raising the left arm into a half moon. Keep the back foot active. If the balance is off, you might want to look down to the floor. Alternatively, look up to ceiling. We're going to reverse the sequence. So you might want to look down to the floor first. Bring the left arm down so that the arm can rest on the body. And then reaching forwards with the right arm. Reaching, keep the back leg up. And very slowly bend into the knee. Stepping back into warrior two. Right arm to the inside of the right leg. Get the arm underneath the leg. Find your wrist and bind. If the bind's not possible, then I encourage you to at least go as far as you can and hold it where you get stuck. Opening in the chest, looking over the left shoulder. Turn your gaze, look down to the floor, release your bind, step back, plank. Lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. In breath, upward facing dog. And exhale to down dog. Check in with the breath. Make sure that you're utilizing your breath as you do the sequence. And I'll use your left leg, take it up. Exhale, stepping left foot in between hands. Pivot back foot. Warrior two. Look down the back arm. Front arm. Hold. You'll simply turn the front hand, palm to face up. Start to shift weight forwards. Come up. Reaching. Flexing the back foot. Feel the engagement in your core. Exhale, bring the fingers down to the floor. Right hand up into half moon. You can turn your gaze down to the floor, lower the right arm, lifting the left arm, taking it back up into the previous phase. Then you're going to bend into the knee, step it back, warrior two. Let's get the left arm to the inside of the left leg. Bind. And as you bind, open in the chest, looking over the right shoulder. Turning gaze down to the mat, releasing hands down, step back, plank. In the plank, step your feet mat width apart, bend into your knees, tilt in the pelvis, and hold. And place your knees down, bring the feet together, keep your toes tucked, and push back into a modified child's pose. Slowly bring your weight forwards, keep the toes tucked, and just lift the knees off the mat. So feet stay together, knees out to the sides, tilting in the pelvis, knees not touching. And then straighten your legs into a slightly modified down dog with the feet being together. Bending into knees, look up. In breath, feet in between hands, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, arms to ceiling. Exhale, mountain pose. In this mountain pose position, instead of keeping feet together, get them hip width, so fist should fit in between the feet. Spread your toes as much as you can. Get a nice grip. Push through the big toe sides of the feet. Then relax the shoulders back and down. Use an in-breath to bend into the knees and squatting down. The arms can hang down, but feel that you're sinking quite low. The next inhale, take arms up. Next inhalation, lift onto the tiptoes. With an exhale, wrap your arms around the backs of the legs. Keep the heels off the mat, arching your back to keep length in your spine. We'll be jumping back from this position. Well, obviously, first position, hands on the mat, but you'll keep your legs against the upper body and you'll stay on the toes. So plant your hands down, push away from the floor and jump back. Lower down, chaturanga. In-breath, upward facing dog. Exhale into down dog. And I'll raise your right leg, but open in the hip, bend into the knee, and stretch the right leg towards the left. And then simply step it over to the outside of the mat, taking arm up, flipping your down dog. Twist and turn back. Take the right leg to ceiling. Squeeze knee into chest, lower your hips, and hold. You're going to angle the left foot, moving into a side plank, with the right knee pulling up to ceiling. Exhale, hand down, knee to chest. Step the right foot back, lower down chaturanga. In-breath, up dog. Exhale to down dog. Inhalation to raise left leg, but open in the hip. Bend into the knee. Rather casual. And just step the foot to the outside of the mat. Twist and turn. Flipping your down dog, lifting in the hips. We'll twist back. As you get the hand down, take your left leg to sky. Squeeze knee into chest. Lower your hips and hold it here. Angle back foot. Weight onto right hand. Side plank with the left knee pulling up to ceiling. Exhale, bring your hand down, knee to chest. And then step your foot back. Continue with your vinyasa. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend into knees, look up. In breath, feet in between hands. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms to ceiling. And exhale, arms down. Stepping feet wider, toes out to the sides, squatting down for Malasana. So arms to the insides of your knees, lifting in the chest, keeping length in your back. You're going to slide your arms down towards the floor as much as possible and bending the arms, wrapping them, binding them around the legs and aiming to get your fingers close together at the back. A little bit of a shoulder stretch before we get to seated. And then release and make your way down onto the floor. As you get onto the mat, you can slowly curl down. Step feet close to the glutes, feet hip distance. But this time around, you want to hold onto the ankles. If you can't reach, then most definitely keep your arms on the floor. But without turning your head, push through your feet, lift your hips, walk shoulder blades closer together, and hold your bridge pose. Strong posture, truly feeling the quads firing, especially after our standing sequence. Nice deep inhale, maybe lifting a little bit more, and then with an exhale, slowly lower the hips all the way down onto the mat. As you relax back onto the floor, hug knees into your chest. So just take the knees up and hug them into the body. You can gently move from side to side. A little bit of oblique work, so as you let go of the knees, take your legs up to ceiling, arms out to the sides. You want to keep the legs straight. Drop your legs over to the right with control. Don't let the legs touch the floor. And then inhale, take it back up. Keeping legs together. Exhale, over to the left. Keep legs together, don't let them touch the floor. Back up, over to the right. Inhale to center, over to the left. And back up, to the right. And back to center, over to the left. And back up. Bending into the knees. Drop the knees over to the right. Gaze to the left. Bring your knees back to center and take them over to the left. Gaze to the right. Bring your legs back to center. And then straighten your legs, preparing for corpse pose. But before we get all too comfortable, just scan the body. Just get the feet to flop out to the sides. And then make sure there's no tension in the lower legs, the feet, the ankles. And then take awareness up to the pelvis. Push your lower back into the floor. And then go soft. And just make sure you don't hold tension, the glutes, the lower back especially. Taking awareness up your spine, all the way to the shoulders. Walk your shoulders down and away from the ears. Awareness down your arms. Let the fingers curl in naturally. Then slightly lifting your head, tuck your chin and place the back of the head onto the floor. You can close your eyes. And for the first time in the practice, let your breath just be natural. So no special breathing. And as you allow the breath to return back to a natural state, just notice what happens as you inhale. Feel navel or belly going up towards ceiling, away from your spine. And with an exhale, the opposite happens. Just focus on that sensation along with the breath passing over the top lip on each inhale and exhale. And just allow yourself to become really still. You can stay in this relaxed corpse pose for as long as you want.